So my career began, I guess, because it's all football, it began with my dad. He loved football, he was a football fan and a football player, a really good footballer. And so he would practice with me in the park. We'd go up the park and practice for hours, kicking the ball backwards and forwards. And he always used to say to me that we were different types of players. He was robust and strong, and he would score goals with his head, something that he criticised me for I wasn't as good at. I was a bit more of a sort of a tricky footballer and a sort of a dribbler. And he used to say, if you put the two of us together, you'd have like an international footballer. Yeah, he sort of raised me in that, in the football side of things. And I went into this path of playing, coaching and doing football tricks. So as it turned out, I did make a living out of doing football tricks, and it was basically football freestyle. I was one of the early football freestylers in the UK, and it got to the point where I'd developed this kind of routine of tricks and things, like a performance. So that I could go to do a halftime show in a stadium. And so that was, yeah, I had this kind of skill set there, but also I was called in to do commercials as well, football commercials. So I would attend castings and it would be a bit like this, where they'd just throw me a ball, and because that's what I'd spent a lot of time practicing, I was landing these jobs. And I did feel sorry for other guys that I knew who were brilliant footballers, who weren't necessarily into the tricks, who weren't getting the jobs often. So I was acting as a body double for some of these, you know, hero footballers. And eventually I got called into meetings to choreograph the football action as well. So yeah, everything was around football, and I guess, yeah, from my dad.
And when did it come to a point where everything was about football, but God was kind of saying, I'm here, and are you spending a little bit more time with me? So when was that real sort of encounter with God? When did that happen for you?
So I always say that my journey wasn't like a pinpoint moment as such. It's been an ongoing journey, ongoing conversion. But there's been so many moments when I look back. And one that sticks out is I got to the point in my career where I was the go-to guy for Adidas. Mm-hmm. It was actually Nike that first started calling me to choreograph their shoots. And it was surreal, really, because I was working with Ronaldo from Brazil and Ronaldinho, and I can carry on doing all the name dropping. But then eventually Adidas called me in for their shoots. And anytime they had a shoot, they were giving me the call. You know, Mike, can you come and choreograph? And it didn't matter where it was. I was flying off all over the place. And I was providing like specialists or body doubles for the shoots. And that's when I started my company, Select Sports Artists. And things were going great. My other business was going well, my coaching business, the Skills Academy. So yeah, I was flying. You know, that's the way I looked at it then. And all of a sudden it just came to a stop. And I couldn't understand what had happened. We were still actually providing some of the body doubles for these shoots, but I realised there was a different choreographer, you know, because I would see the call sheet and I'd think, what's happening here, you know, because I was doing so much of their stuff. If anything, I thought I was going to be championed by Adidas, you know, and I have the keys of, you know, their base. But yeah, suddenly someone else was doing it, and yeah, I was driving myself mad because I thought I must have upset someone, or I must have worn something wrong, or something's not right. And in the end, I thought there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to accept it. And then what happened was very interesting. Again, when I look back, I was starting to attend my parish more. I was already back in the faith, but on Monday evening at my parish, Holy Innocents in Alpington, our parish priest, Father Victor, was holding Journey in Faith on a Monday evening. So I was going to Journey in Faith, found that really interesting. Then on the Tuesday, again with Father Victor, we were doing Freedom in Christ. And then one of the days was Alpha, and then there was something else, and you know, something else was happening, and then obviously attending Mass as well. And I realised at one time I was going to the church every day. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was doing these commercials, if I was flying off to all different parts of the world. I just wouldn't have been able to do that. And again, when I look back in retrospect, I think, oh, God made that space, he made that time, and also reminded me that anything that had happened before then was not my own doing. It was his doing. It was all from him. And, you know, as much as he was giving me this opportunity, he could take it away. And it was all for my good, even though it was painful to go through and to be worried about, oh, you know, I thought I had all this income coming in, that all suddenly stops. There was something more important that I needed to address. And that was, I think, the order of where I placed things with God. So suddenly I was taking my faith even more seriously.